My beloved child, pause for a moment and breathe this in. This is not an ordinary message, and this is not an ordinary day. January 1st is standing before you like a divine doorway, and Archangel Michael is speaking clearly right now. Heaven is announcing a reset. What ended behind you has no authority over what is beginning today. God Himself is placing His hand on this moment and saying, "This is your fresh start." Something powerful is happening in the unseen realm as this new year opens. Many people feel excitement today, but you feel something deeper, a quiet stirring, a sense that this year is different. That is because it is different. Archangel Michael says this day has been marked for you long before the calendar ever turned. The confusion, the heaviness, the repeated cycles you survived last year, they were not punishment. They were preparation. Listen carefully now, because this message is not for everyone. It is for the one who almost gave up, the one who smiled in public but cried in private, the one who asked God, "When will my season change?" Heaven heard you. And today, January 1st, God is answering. Archangel Michael is standing as a guardian at the entrance of this new year. His sword is raised, not against you, but against everything that tried to block your progress. He says the past cannot follow you here. What drained you last year is losing access to your future. What confused you last season will not have permission to confuse you again. This fresh start is not just emotional. It is spiritual, mental, and practical. God is not recycling old blessings. He's releasing new ones. New ideas. New strength. A new direction. New favor. The delay you experienced was not denial. It was divine timing aligning things you could not see. And hear this clearly, Jesus Himself is involved in this moment. He is sending blessings to all who obey this instruction. Act now. Obedience is the key that unlocks what has been waiting. Faith is being activated through action, not later, not someday, but today. Archangel Michael says some of you are standing at a crossroads right now. One path looks familiar but heavy. The other feels uncertain but peaceful. Heaven is guiding you toward peace. Do not let fear disguise itself as logic. The old patterns may feel safe, but they no longer serve your calling. This year will not respond to hesitation the way the last one did. God is moving swiftly, and alignment matters. What you tolerate will determine what you experience. What you release today creates space for what God wants to place in your hands. Pay attention to what is being highlighted in your heart right now. A gentle nudge, that repeated thought, that inner knowing, that is guidance from heaven. Archangel Michael says you are not confused. You are transitioning. Confusion belongs to the old season. Clarity belongs to this new beginning. Some conversations will stop. Some doors will quietly close without explanation. Do not chase what God is removing. This is protection, not loss. Heaven is streamlining your life for what is coming next. January 1st carries authority. It is a spiritual reset point. Words spoken today carry unusual power. Decisions made today echo longer than you realize. That is why this message reached you right now and not yesterday, not tomorrow. Jesus says, "Follow me into this year with trust, and I will restore what time tried to steal." Restoration does not always look like returning to the past. Often, it looks like receiving something better than you imagined. Archangel Michael is reminding you that your identity has not changed, even if your circumstances did. You are still chosen, still protected, still guided, still deeply loved. The enemy tried to convince you that you missed your moment, but heaven says your moment has just arrived. This year will require courage, but not the exhausting kind. It will require obedience, but not confusion. God will make your steps clear, one at a time. You do not need the whole map. You only need the next instruction. Right now, make a quiet decision in your spirit. I am not carrying last year into this one. Release the guilt. Release the regret. Release the questions you never got answers to. God is not asking you to understand everything. He's asking you to trust Him with today. Archangel Michael says angels are being assigned to your new assignments. Support is increasing. Resistance is decreasing. What once felt impossible will begin to feel natural. This is your beginning, not a repeat, not a patch up, a true fresh start. Receive it, align with it, and prepare, because what God is about to unfold will confirm that this message was not a coincidence. Something is shifting now, my precious one. As this new year breathes its first full moments, Archangel Michael wants you to understand something deeper that many overlook. A fresh start is not just about what God gives you. It is also about what God asks you to release. You cannot step fully into what heaven has prepared if your hands are still holding yesterday's weight. This is the moment where divine alignment begins to feel uncomfortable, because growth always challenges familiarity. Right now, unseen shifts are happening around you. Conversations you thought you would have again will not return in the same way. Plans you once depended on may quietly dissolve. This is not chaos. This is God rearranging your environment to match the future He already approved for you. Archangel Michael says the old structures were never designed to hold the new anointing being poured out this year. Some of you woke up today with a strange mix of hope and unease. You feel excited, yet cautious. That is because your spirit recognizes opportunity, but your mind remembers pain. Heaven is gently separating the two. What hurt you before does not get a vote in what God is birthing now. The fear you feel is not a warning. It is simply unfamiliar territory calling you forward. Jesus is watching how you respond to this beginning. Not with pressure, but with compassion. He knows what you survived to arrive here. He knows the prayers you whispered when no one was listening. And He's saying, "Let me lead you differently this time." You do not need to control the outcome. You only need to stay obedient to the next step. Archangel Michael is standing close, guarding your peace. He says distractions will try to re-enter your life early this year, because the enemy always attempts to revisit what God just delivered you from. Be discerning. Not everything familiar is safe. Not every open door is sent by God. Peace will be your confirmation. Confusion is not your assignment anymore. This fresh start will test your consistency. Motivation will come and go, but discipline will be your anchor. God is not looking for perfection. He is looking for persistence. Even small steps taken in faith will unlock momentum you have not felt in a long time. Do not underestimate simple obedience. Heaven multiplies what is sincere. There is also a call on you to speak differently this year. Words carry weight in this season. What you declare over yourself matters more than ever. Stop rehearsing what went wrong and start agreeing with what God is doing now. Archangel Michael says your voice is being trained to align with heaven, not with fear. As you continue listening to this message, let your heart stay open. If this word is already stirring something inside you, take a moment to engage with it. Like this video so this message reaches others who are standing at the same doorway you are. Share it with someone who needs confirmation that God has not forgotten them. Leave a comment declaring that you are stepping into your fresh start. And if you feel led, subscribe to this channel and be part of this growing community that gathers under messages of faith, protection, and divine guidance. When you engage, you are not just supporting a channel, you are helping heaven's reminders reach more hearts. Archangel Michael also says this year will reward courage faster than comfort. There will be moments when doing the right thing feels lonely, but you will never be alone. Angels are assigned to walk with you in decisions you once feared making. The strength you asked God for last year is arriving now, but it comes packaged as responsibility. You may notice your tolerance for certain situations decreasing. What you once accepted without question will now disturb your peace. This is a sign of growth. Do not shame yourself for outgrowing places, people, or patterns. God is upgrading your discernment. What drains you cannot accompany you forward. Jesus reminds you that obedience does not always feel spiritual in the moment. Sometimes it looks like rest. Sometimes it looks like boundaries. Sometimes it looks like saying no when you want to say yes. Trust that He sees every choice you make in alignment with His will. This fresh start is also an invitation to rebuild trust with God, especially if disappointment tried to distance you before. You are allowed to bring your questions into this year, but do not let them harden your heart. Faith is not pretending everything makes sense. It is choosing to walk with God even when it doesn't. Archangel Michael says momentum is forming quietly. You do not need loud signs for something to be real. Many breakthroughs begin silently. Pay attention to what feels lighter. Pay attention to what feels clear. That is where God is moving. And before you drift away or get distracted, hold on. Because what is about to unfold next will connect everything you have heard so far in a way you did not expect. This is where clarity begins to sharpen, and you will want to stay with this message as it continues to unfold. My chosen one, now listen with your spirit, because Archangel Michael is drawing your attention to something critical at this stage of your fresh beginning. A new year does not automatically change a life. Alignment does. And alignment begins when truth replaces illusion. God is gently, but firmly, removing the filters through which you once saw yourself. You are no longer permitted to view your future through the lens of past failure. There is a divine confrontation happening within you right now. Not a conflict meant to harm you, but a holy awakening meant to free you. Archangel Michael says the biggest battle this year will not be external. It will be internal. Old beliefs will try to argue with new promises. The voice of fear will try to compete with the voice of God. But heaven has already decided which voice carries authority. Some of you have lived too long under a false identity shaped by survival instead of purpose. You learned how to endure, how to adapt, how to stay quiet. But this season is not about surviving. It is about becoming. And becoming often feels unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. That is why you feel stretched right now. Expansion always follows surrender. Jesus is speaking gently, but clearly. You are allowed to want more. Not more for ego, but more for impact. More peace. More clarity. More alignment. You were never called to live small just to keep others comfortable. The humility God desires is obedience, not self-erasure. Archangel Michael is also revealing that some delays you experienced were actually mercy. If certain prayers had been answered too early, they would have crushed you. God was protecting you from success without support, from promotion without preparation. Now the preparation has been completed. What comes next will require maturity, not desperation. Pay attention to how your desires are changing. You no longer crave noise, you crave meaning. You no longer chase approval, you seek confirmation. These are signs that your spirit is maturing. Heaven trusts you with more because you are finally ready to steward it wisely. This fresh start carries responsibility. Not pressure, but stewardship. God is asking, can I trust you with what you are asking for? Archangel Michael says integrity will matter more than talent this year. Character will open doors that skill alone never could. Be faithful in the unseen moments. Heaven watches consistency. There will be moments when you are tempted to return to old coping mechanisms when things feel uncertain. Resist that urge. You do not need what once numbed you. You need what now strengthens you. Jesus is not just saving you from something. He is leading you into something better. Some of you are sensing a calling that feels bigger than you. That is because it is. God never assigns small callings to his chosen vessels, but he also never leaves you to carry them alone. Archangel Michael says divine assistance has already been scheduled. The help you need will arrive at the right moment, not a second late. This is also a season of divine honesty. God is not interested in polished prayers. He wants real conversation. Bring your doubts, your hopes, your fears. He could handle them. What he cannot work with is pretense. Authenticity unlocks intimacy, and intimacy unlocks guidance. Notice how this message keeps finding its way deeper into your heart. That is not accident or algorithm. That is confirmation. Heaven knows how to reach you when you are ready to listen. And right now, you are listening differently. Archangel Michael says your obedience in small things over the next few days will create momentum that carries through the entire year. Do not ignore gentle instructions. Do not delay what God is prompting you to do. Speed matters in this season, not haste, but holy responsiveness. Jesus says, "Follow me closely now," not from a distance, not occasionally, closely. The closer you walk with him, the clearer everything becomes. Direction replaces doubt. Peace replaces striving. As this part of the message comes to a close, understand this clearly. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on time for what God has planned next. And heaven is celebrating your willingness to begin again with trust. Type "I receive the NEW" beginning in the comments if this message is confirming what God is doing in your life. Lesson code 1441 has just been released. As this fresh start unfolds and Archangel Michael continues to guide and protect, I feel led to speak directly to those whose hearts are burning to help others hear what you are hearing. When you sow through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are not supporting a channel. You are planting light into lives that are still in darkness. The word says God gives seed to the sower, and this is your moment to place seed into fertile ground. I am personally inviting you to become part of this mission because your obedience helps this message reach the one who is still crying out for hope. What you release now will return as a harvest pressed down and overflowing. Heaven sees every act of obedience, and angels mark it. Take action now. The PayPal link is waiting in the description, and this is your moment to respond. My beloved one, as this message continues to unfold, Archangel Michael wants you to slow your inner world, even if life around you feels like it is speeding up. A fresh start does not mean everything changes overnight. It means God begins changing things at the root. And root-level change often happens quietly, beneath the surface, before anything visible appears. Right now, heaven is recalibrating your expectations. Some of you entered this new year hoping for instant breakthroughs, clear signs, or dramatic shifts. But God is doing something far more sustainable. He is rebuilding your foundation. Archangel Michael says what God establishes this year will not collapse under pressure because it is being built on truth, not urgency. You may notice moments where you feel unusually reflective. Memories may surface, not to hurt you, but to be healed. This is part of the cleansing process. Jesus is gently touching areas of your heart that were ignored because survival demanded strength, not softness. Now you are safe enough to heal. Healing is not weakness, it is preparation. Archangel Michael also says this is a season where discernment becomes sharper. You will begin to sense when something is off, even if you cannot explain why. Trust that. God is teaching you to listen beyond logic. Discernment will protect you from unnecessary battles and wasted energy. Not every fight is yours to fight. There will be invitations this year that look good on the surface but feel heavy in your spirit. And there will be opportunities that seem small but bring peace. Heaven says choose peace. God's will is never rushed, never pressured, and never chaotic. Peace is your compass now. Some of you are learning to sit with silence without feeling anxious. This is growth. Silence is where clarity is born. Archangel Michael says God will speak to you more clearly in quiet moments than in noise-filled striving. Make room for stillness. That is where instructions become unmistakable. Jesus is also reminding you that obedience this year will often require patience. Not waiting passively, but waiting with trust. There will be times when you do everything right and still have to wait. This is not delay, it is development. God uses waiting to strengthen your character so you can carry what is coming without losing yourself. You are also being trained to release control. Control once made you feel safe, but it also kept you tense. God is teaching you how to surrender outcomes without surrendering responsibility. Do your part faithfully, then rest. Heaven is handling what you cannot. Archangel Michael says your emotions may feel closer to the surface during this season. This is not regression. This is sensitivity returning. When you numb pain, you also numb joy. God is reopening your emotional capacity so you can experience fullness again. Do not be afraid of feeling deeply. It is part of being alive in Him. Pay attention to the patterns breaking in your life. Reactions that once ruled you no longer have the same power. Triggers that once controlled your mood are losing their grip. This is evidence of inner transformation. Freedom often arrives quietly, not dramatically. This year will also challenge you to trust God with timing. You will want answers faster than they come. You will want certainty before it is given. But Jesus says, walk with me, not ahead of me. Faith is not knowing the entire plan. It is trusting the one who does. Archangel Michael is guarding your spiritual growth fiercely. There are things you will not be exposed to anymore, not because you are missing out, but because you are being protected. God is narrowing your focus so you can walk straight into what matters most. Some of you will notice a desire to simplify your life. Fewer distractions. Fewer unnecessary conversations. Fewer obligations that drain you. This is not isolation. It is refinement. God often reduces before He multiplies. This fresh start is teaching you how to honor yourself without pride. Boundaries will become clearer. You will stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Jesus says, let your yes be yes, and your no be no. Peace follows clarity. Archangel Michael also wants you to know that setbacks this year will not define you. They will instruct you. Mistakes will not disqualify you. They will mature you. God is not measuring you by perfection, but by posture. A teachable heart goes further than flawless performance. As you move forward, remember that growth is not always comfortable, but it is always purposeful. What feels slow is often deep. What feels uncertain is often sacred ground. You are not wandering. You are being led. Hold this truth close. God is not just doing something new around you. He is doing something new within you. And what He is forming inside you right now will soon become visible in ways that surprise even you. Stay open. Stay faithful. Stay listening. What is unfolding is only the beginning. My dear one, as this message deepens, Archangel Michael wants you to recognize the quiet courage God is awakening within you. This season is not loud, but it is powerful. It is the kind of strength that does not announce itself, yet changes everything. You are learning how to stand without proving, how to move without explaining, and how to trust God without needing constant reassurance. There is a divine separation happening in your life right now, not to isolate you, but to refine you. Certain influences are losing their hold, not because they were evil, but because they were misaligned. God is teaching you that alignment matters more than attachment. Archangel Michael says you are being repositioned, not rejected. You may feel moments of loneliness even while surrounded by people. This is not abandonment. This is transition. When God shifts your assignment, your environment must adjust. Not everyone who walked with you before can walk with you now. Some were meant to help you survive. Others will help you thrive. Discern the difference without resentment. Jesus is reminding you that this year is about truth over comfort. Comfort can keep you stagnant, but truth will make you free. There will be moments when truth confronts you gently, exposing habits, mindsets, or patterns that no longer serve your calling. Receive that correction as love. Heaven corrects what it plans to elevate. Archangel Michael says spiritual maturity is growing within you. You are no longer reacting the way you used to. You pause. You pray. You reflect. This is evidence that God is strengthening your inner authority. External chaos loses its power when internal peace is established. This is also a season where God is restoring your confidence, not arrogance, but holy confidence rooted in identity. You are beginning to see yourself the way heaven sees you, not as broken but as becoming, not as delayed but as developing, not as forgotten but as favored. Some of you are being called to forgive in ways you resisted before, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve freedom. Forgiveness is not agreement. It is release. Jesus says unforgiveness ties you to the past, but forgiveness loosens your grip so you can move forward. Archangel Michael also speaks of renewed discipline. Motivation fades, but discipline carries you through. God is helping you establish rhythms that support your peace, not exhaust your spirit. Simple habits done consistently will produce extraordinary results over time. You may notice God drawing your attention to your physical and mental well-being as well. This is not separate from your spiritual life. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. Rest is not laziness. It is obedience when God calls you to it. Steward your energy wisely this year. This fresh start is also teaching you how to trust joy again. After disappointment, joy can feel risky. But Jesus says joy is strength, not vulnerability. Allow yourself to enjoy small victories. Celebrate progress, not just outcomes. Gratitude accelerates growth. Archangel Michael says you are learning how to wait without anxiety. Waiting no longer feels like punishment. It feels purposeful. God is teaching you patience that does not weaken faith but strengthens it. You are becoming stable, grounded, and resilient. There will be moments this year when you are tempted to compare your journey to others. Resist that urge. Comparison distorts vision. God's plan for you is custom designed. What looks slow for you may be saving you from pain you cannot see. You are also being trained to recognize divine timing. Doors will open when your heart is ready, not just when you are eager. Trust that God's delays are often His protection. Archangel Michael assures you that nothing meant for you will miss you. Some blessings will come disguised as responsibility. Some breakthroughs will arrive as assignments. Do not shy away from what requires effort. God equips those He calls. Strength is released as you move forward, not before. Jesus is inviting you into deeper trust. Not surface-level belief, but surrendered faith. Faith that rests even when answers are incomplete. Faith that obeys even when outcomes are unclear. This kind of faith moves heaven. As you continue forward, understand this. You are not walking blindly. You are being guided intentionally. Every step, every pause, every redirection has purpose. Archangel Michael walks ahead of you, clearing paths you have not yet seen. Hold steady. Remain faithful. Keep listening. What God is shaping within you now is preparing you for what is about to manifest around you. My beloved child, Archangel Michael is drawing closer now, because this stage of your journey requires awareness as much as faith. What God is doing in you is becoming more visible, not just to you, but to the spiritual realm around you. When growth reaches this level, resistance often tries to reappear in subtle ways. Not to defeat you, but to test whether you truly believe what heaven has spoken over you. This year, God is sharpening your discernment to recognize the difference between a distraction and an assignment. Not everything that demands your attention deserves your energy. You are learning that urgency does not equal importance. Archangel Michael says peace will always accompany what is truly from God, even when it stretches you. You may notice that situations which once drained you now feel easier to handle. This is not because the situations changed, but because you did. Your inner strength has increased. Your emotional reactions are slower. Your spiritual reflexes are sharper. This is maturity forming quietly, but firmly. Jesus is teaching you how to respond instead of react. Reaction comes from wounds. Response comes from wisdom. When something triggers you now, pause and ask God what it is revealing. Often, triggers are invitations to heal deeper layers. Healing is not going backward. It is moving forward with clarity. Archangel Michael also says the season is exposing false urgency. You no longer need to rush decisions just to feel secure. God is stabilizing your sense of identity so you are not moved by pressure, guilt, or fear of missing out. What is meant for you will remain available. What leaves was never yours to carry. This is also a time when God is realigning your priorities. You are becoming more intentional with your time, your words, and your commitments. Saying yes to everything is no longer an option. Boundaries are becoming an act of obedience, not selfishness. Heaven honors wisdom. Some of you are experiencing moments of spiritual fatigue, not because you are weak, but because you are growing. Growth requires energy. Jesus invites you to rest in Him, not withdraw from Him. Rest restores clarity. From that place, direction becomes easier to hear. Archangel Michael says your prayers are changing. They are becoming less frantic and more focused. You are no longer begging God to fix everything. You are asking Him to guide you through what He is building. This shift is powerful. It shows trust. There may be days when progress feels invisible. Do not let that discourage you. Roots grow in darkness before fruit appears in light. God is strengthening what supports you, not just what impresses others. What He builds this way lasts. This year will require consistency more than intensity. Small faithful steps taken daily will carry more power than occasional bursts of effort. Heaven values endurance. Keep showing up. Keep choosing obedience. Momentum is being built, even when it feels slow. If this message is resonating with your spirit and helping you stay aligned, take a moment right now to engage. Like this video so the message can continue reaching those who are searching for confirmation. Hear it with someone who feels stuck between what was and what is coming. Leave a comment declaring that you are staying aligned with God's process. And if you have not yet subscribed, this is your invitation to stay connected to messages that strengthen your faith and clarity. Your engagement is part of how this word travels further than we can see. Archangel Michael also reminds you that spiritual growth often brings new levels of responsibility. You may feel God nudging you to lead differently, speak differently, or act with greater integrity. Do not shrink back from this. Authority grows when responsibility is accepted with humility. Jesus says, "What you are becoming matters more than what you achieve." Achievement without character will not satisfy you, but character aligned with purpose will open doors you never imagined. You are also learning how to handle disappointment without letting it define you. Not every expectation will be met this year, but every lesson will serve you. God wastes nothing. Even what didn't work is being used to sharpen your wisdom. Archangel Michael says protection is active around you right now. There are things you will never know you were spared from. Trust that God's silence in certain moments was actually his shield. As this part comes to a close, let this truth settle deeply. You are not struggling to become someone new. You are shedding what no longer belongs to you. And that process, while sometimes uncomfortable, is sacred. Hold on, because what is coming next will connect your inner growth to visible change in ways you will not expect. This is where things begin to shift outwardly, and you will want to stay with this unfolding message. My dear one, Archangel Michael wants you to recognize that something subtle but powerful is changing in how the world responds to you. This is not imagination. It is alignment. When inner transformation reaches a certain depth, it begins to influence external circumstances. Doors that once felt heavy start opening with less resistance. Conversations shift. Opportunities arise in unexpected ways. This is the ripple effect of obedience. You may notice people treating you differently, sometimes with respect you did not receive before, sometimes with distance you did not expect. Do not be unsettled by this. When your frequency changes, not everyone can meet you where you are. Archangel Michael says this is confirmation, not rejection. God is repositioning you among those who can recognize your value. This season is also teaching you how to walk in quiet authority. You no longer need to announce your intentions or explain your growth. Your presence speaks. Your boundaries speak. Your peace speaks. Authority rooted in God does not compete. It carries weight naturally. Jesus is reminding you that influence is stewardship. As your influence grows, so does your responsibility to remain humble and teachable. Pride disconnects, but humility attracts grace. Stay grounded in prayer. Stay aware of your dependence on God. Everything good flowing through you still flows from Him. Archangel Michael says your intuition is sharpening because your spirit is more attuned to heaven. Pay attention to inner warnings and confirmations. God often speaks through impressions, not interruptions. When something feels off, pause. When something feels right, move forward with faith. This year will bring moments where you must choose integrity over convenience. Shortcuts may appear tempting, but they will not align with the foundation God is building. Trust the process, even when it feels slower. What is built quickly can collapse easily. What is built with God endures. Some of you are stepping into leadership roles without a title. People are watching how you respond to pressure, how you speak about others, how you handle setbacks. Leadership is revealed through character long before position. Archangel Michael says you are being trained through example, not instruction. There may be moments when you feel stretched between who you were and who you are becoming. This in-between space can feel uncomfortable. Do not rush through it. Transition spaces are where identity settled. Jesus often did his deepest work in moments of transition. You are also learning how to celebrate others without comparing yourself. This is growth. Jealousy loses its grip when security takes its place. God's blessings are not limited. Someone else's breakthrough does not delay yours. Trust heaven's timing. Archangel Michael reminds you that obedience sometimes requires saying no to good things so you can say yes to God things. Not everything that is good is meant for you now. Discernment will save you time and energy this year. Your prayer life may feel different, less emotional, more grounded. This does not mean God feels distant. It means your faith is maturing. You are learning to trust even without constant reassurance. Jesus values this kind of faith deeply. You may also experience moments of testing where old fears try to resurface. When this happens, remember what God has already brought you through. Fear has no authority over a life surrendered to God. Archangel Michael stands as a defender, reminding you of truth when lies attempt to return. This season is preparing you for visible results, but God will not rush the reveal. He is ensuring that when the fruit appears, you are ready to steward it well. Premature exposure can damage what is still developing. Notice how your language is changing. You speak with more clarity. You complain less. You choose words carefully. This is evidence that your mind is being renewed. Words shape reality. God is teaching you to speak life. Jesus says, "Remain in me, and you will bear much fruit." Remaining does not mean striving. It means staying connected. When you feel overwhelmed, return to Him. When you feel confident, stay humble. Archangel Michael assures you that heaven is actively involved in the details of your life. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. Even detours are part of divine navigation. As you continue forward, understand that what you are becoming cannot be hidden much longer. Light naturally reveals itself, but God will reveal you at the right time, in the right way to the right people. Stay faithful in the unseen moments. Stay obedient in the quiet choices. The visible shift you have been sensing is only the beginning. My precious one, Archangel Michael is speaking with unusual clarity at this moment because you are approaching a turning point that many never reach. This is the stage where internal transformation begins to demand external alignment. God is no longer only working on you. He is now rearranging circumstances around you to match what you have become. This is where faith starts to feel real in your daily life. You may sense an increased urgency to live authentically. Masks feel heavy now. Pretending feels exhausting. That is because your spirit no longer tolerates fragmentation. Archangel Michael says wholeness is becoming your new standard. God is calling you to live as the same person in private that you are in public. This integrity will protect you in ways you do not yet understand. Some doors will open suddenly, and others will close without warning. Do not panic when something ends abruptly. Sudden endings are often mercy. God is removing what cannot go where He is taking you. What leaves now would have limited you later. Trust heaven's precision. Jesus is also highlighting the importance of obedience without applause. There will be moments when you do the right thing and no one notices. Heaven notices. Angels record obedience that goes unseen by people. And what is honored in heaven is never forgotten on earth. This season will also reveal who is truly aligned with your growth. Some people will celebrate you. Others will grow uncomfortable. Do not dim your light to maintain familiarity. Archangel Michael says you are not responsible for how others respond to your obedience. You are responsible for remaining faithful. You are learning how to trust God with outcomes, not just intentions. Good intentions do not produce fruit without obedience. Faith without action stays theoretical. God is asking you to move when He nudges, even if the step feels small. Small steps taken consistently change everything. You may feel called to make decisions that prioritize peace over approval. This will feel unfamiliar at first, but peace is your confirmation. Chaos is not a sign of growth. God's will may stretch you, but it will not steal your peace. Archangel Michael says spiritual authority is increasing in your life. You may notice that your prayers feel more grounded, less emotional, more confident. This is because you are praying from alignment, not desperation. Heaven responds quickly to prayers that come from trust. Jesus is also teaching you how to let go without bitterness. Letting go does not mean something failed. It means its assignment is complete. Gratitude for past seasons keeps your heart soft as you enter new ones. There may be moments when the future feels close, but not yet visible. This is intentional. God reveals just enough to keep you moving, not enough to make you self-reliant. Dependence on Him is your strength, not your weakness. This fresh start is now demanding consistency. Inspiration brought you here. Discipline will carry you forward. What you choose daily will matter more than what you choose occasionally. Heaven blesses consistency. Archangel Michael reminds you that doubt may visit, but it does not get to stay. When doubt appears, return to what God already confirmed. Remember the prayers He answered. Remember the doors He opened. Remember the peace He restored. You are being trained to walk by faith, not by feelings. Feelings fluctuate. Faith anchors. When emotions rise or fall, your commitment to God remains steady. This stability will serve you well in the coming months. Jesus says, you are closer than you think. Do not quit now. Do not retreat now. What you have been praying for is aligning behind the scenes. Timing is converging. Hearts are being prepared. Paths are being cleared. As this message reaches this point, understand that your obedience has already activated spiritual movement. Angels are responding. Favor is being positioned. Protection is intensified. You are not walking alone. Type "I am walking in alignment" in the comments if your spirit agrees with this message. Blessing Code 2024 has just been released. If this word has strengthened you, guided you, or restored your faith, then hear me clearly. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are sowing into souls that are still searching for light. I am speaking to you personally now, because God uses willing hearts to extend His reach. Scripture declares that when seed is sown in good soil, heaven commands the harvest. Your act of giving in this moment is not financial, it is prophetic. I bless every seed you release to multiply back into your life with peace, clarity, and provision. The PayPal link is waiting in the description. Obey this nudge now, and watch how God honors what you place in His hands. My beloved one, Archangel Michael wants you to understand that you have now entered a phase where discernment becomes protection. The excitement of a fresh beginning has settled into something deeper and steadier. This is where many people lose focus, not because God stops moving, but because the movement becomes subtle. Heaven is still active, even when it feels quiet. Right now, God is teaching you how to recognize His voice without needing dramatic signs. You are learning the language of peace, the quiet assurance that settles in your spirit when something aligns with truth. Archangel Michael says this discernment will save you from unnecessary detours this year. You will know when to move and when to wait, not by pressure, but by clarity. There may be moments when you feel tested emotionally. Old memories may surface unexpectedly. Familiar insecurities may try to reintroduce themselves. Do not be alarmed. This is not regression. This is exposure. God is bringing unresolved areas into the light so they no longer have power over you. Healing deepens when it is acknowledged, not ignored. Jesus is reminding you that strength does not mean the absence of emotion. Strength means bringing every emotion to God instead of letting it control you. You no longer have to hide your feelings to prove your faith. Faith grows when honesty replaces performance. Archangel Michael says this season will teach you how to guard your inner world. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your plans, or your process. Silence will become wisdom for you. Privacy will become protection. You are not obligated to explain what God is doing in you to people who cannot understand it. You may notice that your patience is being stretched. Things may take longer than you expected. People may move slower than you hoped. This is intentional. God is teaching you endurance. Endurance builds spiritual stamina, and stamina prepares you for longevity. What God is building in your life is meant to last, not impress briefly. There will be opportunities to react impulsively. Resist them. Reaction often satisfies emotion but damages alignment. Response, guided by prayer, preserves peace. Archangel Michael says pause is a powerful spiritual weapon. When you pause, heaven has room to intervene. You are also learning how to trust God's character even when His methods confuse you. This is mature faith. Faith that does not collapse when answers delay. Faith that rests in who God is, not just what He does. Jesus says, remain steady. Stability is your testimony in this season. Others will notice how you carry yourself differently. You are less shaken by opinions, less affected by setbacks, more anchored in truth. This is the fruit of inner work taking root. Archangel Michael also wants you to recognize that spiritual growth can feel lonely at times. Not because God is distant, but because fewer people can walk this depth with you. Do not mistake solitude for abandonment. God often draws His chosen ones aside so He can speak without interruption. This year is also refining your obedience. Obedience is becoming less about emotion and more about conviction. You do what God asks because you trust Him, not because it feels easy. This kind of obedience releases favor that emotion-driven faith cannot access. You may feel God calling you to let go of expectations you placed on people. Release the need for them to show up in certain ways. People are human. God is faithful. When you shift your dependence from people to Him, peace increases. Archangel Michael says you are being taught how to forgive without reopening doors. Forgiveness frees you, but wisdom protects you. You can release bitterness without restoring access. This balance is part of spiritual maturity. Pay attention to how your inner dialogue is changing. You are kinder to yourself now. You correct yourself without condemnation. This is evidence of healing. God's voice within you is replacing old voices that once criticized and shamed you. Jesus is inviting you to trust the process even when progress feels slow. So growth is often deep growth. Deep growth produces lasting fruit. What is forming now will sustain you later. There may be moments when you question whether your obedience is making a difference. Heaven sees every unseen act of faithfulness. Nothing done in alignment with God is ever wasted. Archangel Michael assures you that protection remains active. You are being shielded from distractions you do not even recognize yet. God is guarding your focus because your assignment requires clarity. As this part settles into your spirit, remember this truth: you are not waiting on God. God is working through the waiting. Every moment is serving a purpose, even when you cannot see it. Stay steady. Stay surrendered. Stay listening. What God is preparing you for will require exactly the depth you are developing now. My beloved child, Archangel Michael is speaking with firmness and reassurance now, because this phase requires resolve. You have come too far to drift back into old ways of thinking. The ground beneath you has shifted, even if your surroundings still look familiar. God is teaching you how to walk forward without needing constant confirmation. This is confidence born from alignment. You may notice that your tolerance for disorder has decreased. Chaos feels heavier now. Drama feels unnecessary. This is not avoidance. It is discernment. Your spirit has matured to the point where it no longer feeds on emotional noise. Archangel Michael says your peace is becoming valuable to you because heaven has entrusted you with it. This year is also refining how you handle authority, both God's authority and your own. You are learning to submit without shrieking and to lead without controlling. Jesus modeled this perfectly. Strength wrapped in humility creates trust. Authority rooted in love creates safety. There will be moments when obedience costs you comfort. You may have to walk away from familiar patterns, habits, or even conversations that once felt normal. Do not grieve what you are leaving. Celebrate what you are becoming. Every release is creating room for what God intends to fill. Archangel Michael reminds you that temptation often returns disguised as nostalgia. The past may call your name softly, reminding you only of what felt good, not of what hurt you. Stay anchored in truth. What God brought you out of no longer deserves your attention. You are also learning how to manage expectations. God is teaching you to place your hope in Him, not in timelines, people, or outcomes. Hope anchored in God does not disappoint, because it is not dependent on circumstances. This kind of hope stabilizes the soul. Jesus is strengthening your discernment around voices. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every criticism requires correction. Silence, when guided by wisdom, can speak louder than defense. Archangel Michael says, choose your battles carefully. Peace is often the victory. You may feel moments of spiritual stretching where God asks you to trust Him beyond logic. This is not reckless faith. This is relational faith. You are learning to trust God because you know His character, not because you understand His methods. This season will also test your consistency. There will be days when you feel inspired and days when you feel ordinary. Do not confuse ordinary with unproductive. Faithfulness in ordinary days builds momentum for extraordinary moments. Heaven honors consistency more than hype. If this message is grounding you and helping you stay aligned, take a moment right now to engage with it. Like this video so the message continues to travel to hearts that need reassurance. Share it with someone who feels weary but faithful. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing peace and obedience in this season. And if you have not yet subscribed or joined the community here, now is the time to stay connected. Your engagement strengthens this mission and keeps these messages flowing. Archangel Michael also wants you to understand that obedience is becoming your default response. You no longer debate God's instructions the way you once did. You listen. You act. You trust. This is spiritual maturity. Heaven responds quickly to a willing heart. Jesus says, do not grow weary in doing good. Weariness may visit, but it does not get to lead. When you feel tired, return to God, not away from Him. Rest restores vision. From rest, clarity returns. You may be tempted to measure progress by visible results alone. Resist that. Some of the most important changes are happening within you. Confidence is stabilizing. Fear is loosening. Faith is deepening. These inner victories will soon manifest outwardly. Archangel Michael says you are being prepared for responsibility, not just blessing. Blessings attract attention. Responsibility requires character. God is ensuring that when doors open, you are equipped to walk through them without losing yourself. This year will also invite you to trust your growth. Stop questioning whether you are ready. God would not have brought you this far to abandon the process. You are ready for the next instruction, even if you do not feel ready for the entire journey. There may be moments when you feel the urge to rush ahead. Slow down. God's timing is precise. Moving too fast can cause you to miss what He wants to show you along the way. Patience protects alignment. As this message continues, stay present. What is coming next will tie together everything you have been sensing beneath the surface. This is where understanding deepens, and you will want to remain attentive as heaven reveals the next layer of guidance. My dear one, Archangel Michael is speaking with calm authority now, because you are standing in a season of confirmation. What once felt like preparation is beginning to feel like positioning. You may not see dramatic changes yet, but something inside you knows that you are no longer the same person who started this journey. That awareness is important. God often confirms growth internally before He reveals it externally. You are entering a phase where trust must become embodied, not just believed. Faith is no longer an idea you agree with. It is a posture you live from. Your reactions, your choices, your silence, and your courage are all reflecting what God hath been forming within you. Archangel Michael says this is the stage where heaven begins to trust you with more. There may be moments when you sense a holy stillness around you. Not emptiness, but quiet order. This is not a pause caused by lack of movement. It is a pause caused by alignment. God is allowing things to settle so that what comes next is not built on confusion. Stillness now will lead to clarity later. Jesus is reminding you that not every season is meant to feel exciting. Some seasons are meant to feel steady. Stability is a gift, not a lack of progress. When chaos no longer surrounds you, it does not mean God has stopped working. It means He has established peace as your environment. You may notice that you are no longer seeking validation the way you once did. Approval has lost its power. Compliments feel pleasant but not necessary. Criticism feels lighter, easier to release. This is a sign that your identity is hankering in God rather than in people's opinions. Archangel Michael says this is also a season of refinement in speech. You are learning when to speak and when to remain quiet. Words are becoming intentional. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to everyone. Wisdom is teaching you that silence, when guided by God, can preserve strength. Some of you are sensing an invitation to step into something new, but the timing is not yet clear. Do not force clarity. Revelation unfolds in stages. God often reveals direction just before movement is required. Trust that when it is time to act, you will know. Jesus is also teaching you how to carry hope without impatience. Hope no longer feels like anxious waiting. It feels like confident expectation. This kind of hope does not rush God. It rests in His faithfulness. You are learning how to handle uncertainty without fear. Questions may still exist, but they no longer disturb your peace. You trust that God sees what you cannot. Archangel Michael says this trust is shielding you from unnecessary anxiety. This year is shaping your endurance. Endurance is not about surviving hardship. It is about remaining faithful through consistency. You are showing up even when motivation is low. You are choosing alignment even when results are unseen. Heaven honors this deeply. There may be moments when you look back and realize how far you have come. Do not minimize that growth. Give God credit for the strength you carry now. Celebrate progress without arrogance. Gratitude keeps your heart soft. Jesus reminds you that obedience is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like staying when leaving would be easier. Obedience takes many forms, and God sees them all. Archangel Michael says you are being trained to steward peace. Peace is no longer accidental in your life. It is intentional. You guard it. You choose it. You protect it. This peace will become a testimony to others who are still searching for rest. You may feel moments of anticipation, as if something is approaching. This is not imagination. Movement is aligning. Conversations are being arranged. Opportunities are forming. But God will not rush the reveal. He will unveil what you are ready to carry. This season is also teaching you to trust God's silence. Silence does not mean absence. Often, silence means God is working beyond what words can explain. Learn to rest in that silence without fear. Archangel Michael assures you that nothing you have learned will be wasted. Every lesson, every delay, every moment of surrender has prepared you for what is next. You are not overprepared. You are ready. As this message continues toward its final movement, remain attentive. What is coming next will seal what God has been building throughout this entire journey. This is where understanding meets fulfillment, and your spirit will recognize it when it arrives. Stay grounded. Stay faithful. Stay open. The completion of this message carries a release you have been waiting for. My beloved child, Archangel Michael is standing with final authority now, because this is the sealing moment. What began as a whisper has become a confirmation. What started as preparation has now reached readiness. You are not stepping into an ending. You are stepping into activation. Heaven is not asking if you are willing anymore. Heaven is responding because you already said yes through obedience. This fresh start was never just about a new year. It was about a new identity. You are no longer moving as someone hoping things will change. You are moving as someone aligned with what God has already decided. That shift alone changes everything. Archangel Michael says your posture has changed, and because your posture has changed, your path must respond. There were moments along this journey when you felt stretched, refined, even uncomfortable. That was not resistance. That was transformation. Gold is not shaped in comfort. Purpose is not formed in ease. You are being prepared for weight. The weight of blessing, responsibility, influence, and clarity. Jesus is speaking tenderly now. You are ready to receive without fear. Fear once guarded your heart because disappointment hurt deeply. But now trust has been rebuilt. You no longer expect loss. You expect God. And that expectation is holy. This year will not look like past years. Patterns have been broken. Cycles have been interrupted. What once repeated without explanation has lost its grip. Archangel Michael says the spiritual permissions that held you back have expired. You are walking into spaces that once felt closed because heaven has authorized your entry. You will notice that your decisions carry more confidence now. You are not second-guessing every step. You pray, you listen, and you move. This is spiritual authority in action. God trusts you because you trust Him. There may still be challenges ahead, but they will not overwhelm you. You have been strengthened, not sheltered. Jesus never promised the absence of storms, but he promised his presence within them. And now, his presence feels familiar, not distant. You are also stepping into a season where your testimony will matter. Not the dramatic version, but the truthful one. People will notice how you carry peace, how you respond with wisdom, how you refuse to be shaken by things that once controlled you. Your life will speak even when you remain silent. Archangel Michael says obedience has positioned you for protection. There are things that will not touch you this year because you listened when God nudged you to move, to release, to wait, or to speak. Protection often looks like redirection. This is also a season of answered prayers that arrive differently than expected. God will exceed your request, but he may not follow your script. Trust his creativity. He sees outcomes you cannot imagine yet. Jesus reminds you that this is not the time to shrink back. Confidence is not pride when it is rooted in gratitude. Walk boldly, but stay humble. Speak clearly, but stay kind. Lead when called and rest when instructed. As this message comes to its close, let this truth anchor you. You are not behind, forgotten, or overlooked. You are positioned, protected, and prepared. Heaven is not rushing you, but it is moving with you. Type "I step into my NEW beginning" in the comments if you receive this word with faith. Blessing code 909 has now been activated over your life. If this message has guided you, strengthened you, or confirmed God's voice in your life, then this is your moment to respond prophetically. I'm speaking to you personally now. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are not giving to a channel. You are sowing into the spread of God's word across lives and nations. Scripture declares that those who sow generously reap abundantly, and heaven honors every seed released in obedience. Your support becomes light for someone still in darkness, clarity for someone still confused, and hope for someone still waiting. I bless every giver now with divine return, supernatural provision, and peace that multiplies. The PayPal link is in the description. Act now, not later. Obedience in this moment will echo far beyond what you can see.